Hi everyone. Today I'll be discussing on how to get the square root of a number. The square root of a number n is that number which when multiplied by itself gives n as the product. For example, 5 times 5 is equals to 25. So 5 is the square root of 25. We write square root of 25 is equals to 5. A perfect square number never ends in 2, 3, 7, and 8. Finding the square root of numbers which are perfect squares is easy. The first 15 natural numbers which are perfect squares are 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, 100, 121, 144, 169, 196, and 225. So what if the given number is not a perfect square? The calculator will give you an approximate value. Even without the use of calculator, you can estimate the square root of such numbers. So I'll be discussing on how to estimate the square root of numbers to the nearest 10. So these are the steps. Step number 1. Determine the pair of perfect squares the number falls in between. Step number 2. Count the number of integers between these perfect squares. Step 3. Find the difference between the smaller perfect square and the given number. Step 4. Divide the answer in step 3 by the answer in step 2 and round the quotient to the nearest tenth. Lastly, step 5. Add to the square root of the smaller square and the answer of step 4. And this is your estimate.
So our example number 1 is to find the square root of 27. So step 1 is to determine the pair of perfect squares the number falls in between. So number 27 falls in between 25 and 36. So step 2 is to count the number of integers between these perfect squares. So 25 and 36, the integers between these numbers is 10, which is 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. So step 3 is to find the difference between the smaller perfect square and the given number. So our given number is 27, so we subtract, so minus the smaller perfect square, which is 25, so our answer is 2. So step number 4 is to divide the answer in step 3 by answer in step 2 and round the quotient to the nearest tenth. So our answer in step 3 is 2, so we divide it by 10, so our answer is 0.2. So our step 5 is to add the square root of the smaller square to the answer of step 4, and this is your estimate. So our square root for the smaller square is 5 plus 0.2, so our answer is 5.2. So the square root of 27 is 5.2. So for our example number 2 is we will find the square root of 61. So step 1 is to determine the pair of perfect squares the number falls in between. So number 61 falls in between numbers 49 and 64. So as you can see here, so step 2 is to count the number of integers between 49 and 64. So the number of integers between 49 and 64 is 14. So now we're in step 3. So we find the difference between the smaller perfect square and the given number. So the smaller perfect square with this number is 49. And then our number is 61. So 61 minus 49 is equals to 12. So step 4 is to divide the answer in step 3 by the answer in step 2 and round the quotient to the nearest tenth. So our answer in step 3 is 12 and our answer in step 2 is 14, so we divide it. So our answer is 0.857. So we will round it to the nearest tenth, so it becomes 0.9. So lastly is step 5. We add the square root of the smaller square to the answer of step 4. So our smaller square is 49, and the square root for this is 7. And when we add this to the answer in step 4, which is 0.9, so our answer is 7.9. So for our example number 3 is that we will find the square root of 218. So step 1 again is to determine the pair of perfect squares the number falls in between. So 218, so it falls between the numbers 196 and 225. So step 2 is to count the number of integers between 196 and 225. So the number of integers between 196 and 225 is 27. So step 3 is to find the difference between the smaller perfect square and the given number. So the given number is 218, and the smaller perfect square for this is 196. So our answer is 22. So step number 4 is to divide the answer in step 3 by the answer in step 2. So our answer in step 3 is 22. So we divide it by the answer in step 2, which is 27. So our answer is 0.814. So don't forget that we'll round the answer to the nearest tenth. So it is equal to 0.8. So step number 5 is that we will add to the square root of the smaller square to the answer of step 4. So 196, so the square root for that is 14, as you can see here. So 14 plus the answer in step 4, 0.8. So our answer is 14.8.